The Five Rings Podcast with Duane Rollins and Kevin Laramee on the Sports Podcasting Network. Follow us and listen to us live on Twitter at Five Rings Podcast and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Sports Podcasting Network for more content.
And good day, good night, welcome to the Five Rings Podcast. I'm Kev Laramee, joined as always by Duane Rollins. J8 Podcast exclusive. Thanks for subscribing to our podcast and making us climb the rankings over the last few weeks. Duane, how are you today?
I'm well. Before we get going, I want to thank Kevin for picking up the slack yesterday. I got back from watching Canada play soccer, and I shut my eyes, and I woke up like 17 hours later. It was ugly. It was everything that I hate about missing the Olympics, but I did actually catch up. I watched all the things on the replay, so we're ready to go. Thanks, Kevin, for picking up that torch, and here we go.
It was a tough go, but we pulled through. And you know, if this was 1992, Duane, you wouldn't have been able to catch up, because you'd be like, what? You didn't tape it on VHS? Well, tough luck. It's gone forever. You can't do anything about it.
No, it's true. And look, my primary focus was the women's soccer game between Brazil and Canada, because I am, we have a show called Soccer Today, which talks about North American soccer a lot, and in particular talks about Canadian soccer a lot. So Canada in a quarterfinal in the Olympics was a big deal. So I watched that, and I was kind of spoiled a little bit, but not completely. Kevin, you know how hard it is in 2021 to not be spoiled by a result. I did pretty good.
It's very hard. You got to stay off social media. You got to not talk to your family, and you basically have to not walk outside, because at any given moment you'll peek somewhere, and there'll be a screen somewhere giving you exactly what you don't want, because it's called Murphy's Law, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Let me tell you. So I kind of knew what happened before I started watching, even though I didn't know for sure. And the reason I did is because I have push alerts on my phone, like most people. I have CBC, I have the New York Times, I have a lot of push alerts. Most of them are news related for my 9-to-5 job. But I looked at my phone and I saw Keeper Hero written. And I went, no, that can't be. It can't be.
You like, swipe left. Delete this notification right now.
And again, anyway, so I watched the game, and like about halfway through the game, I'm watching what's playing out. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to penalties, isn't it? And I was right, because it is very difficult to be completely spoiled. But I will say this: the entire game, I wasn't 100% sure, but I was not nervous watching Canada in the penalty shootout, because I saw a push alert that said Keeper Hero.
True, even when Christine St. Clair stepped up at the penalty spot and missed her penalty to start the shootout. What a way to start a shootout, at least the anticlimactic way.
Fair enough. Last thought on this game, which was yesterday, and I'm sure you covered it brilliantly. I posted a video clip that happened like 20 minutes after the game, because I just kept the world feed running for a while. And at one point, Christine Sinclair, she's bawling her eyes out because she was so stressed that she missed that penalty. Janine Becky put her head on her forehead and looked at her and said, "We got you." Which, Kevin, Jesus, where are the onions? Why did you start cutting onions at that moment?
This is the scene of the movie. It's the end of the second act. It's the end of the first act. The second act is Monday, 4 a.m., when they finally beat the States at the top level. And then the movie ends in the confetti in Tokyo with gold memories.
Stop this now. No, you're going to make me emotional. No, I have a very complicated relationship with the Canadian women's national team. Trust me, I want them to win, but I have never, ever blown smoke up their bums.
No, and it was, so what a performance still. And the young guns of the Canadian women's national team pushing this team forward, literally, figuratively, emotionally. And Bev Priestman surprising a lot of us in this one.
Exactly. Look, Ian, I didn't have a chance to say this, so we'll finish this quickly. Look, they are impressing me in terms of how they're playing. I still don't think that they are a team that could win a World Cup, but a World Cup is a much different proposition than an Olympic tournament. And I will say this, Canada will never have a better chance.
No, you're right.
To beat the U.S. So let's just go out and play the game and see what happens. And there we go.
I was really, really hoping there would be an upset and the Netherlands would be winning because
it's gotta be they gotta beat them.
It's true. It's true. It's like Rocky would not have gone to Siberia to beat anybody but Draco, right? So I guess that's the movie.
Like Buster Davis right there. You gotta you gotta be the man, Kevin.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man. Woo! First Ric Flair reference of the day. Let's talk about Simone Biles pulling out of 2 of the 4 events she had left. She's out of the uneven bars. She's out of the vault. She has the beam and the floor left. And since last time we talked about Simone Biles, who's obviously has been having some health issues in this Olympic period, videos of her have surfaced in training and over the last few months, and it has been a more difficult period than we anticipate. There, not just mental health. When I say not just mental health is big enough to deal with as an issue, but it's also physical health, and it's all related. It's confidence related. It's also related to the fact that some events are dangerous for your health in gymnastics, and she has what they call, and I'm paraphrasing, and if you are a gymnast listening to us, feel free to correct me, but you lose your spatial awareness, and it's hard for you to recover, and it's mentally and physically driven, and there's a specific term for it. Your loss of it's back to you lost your marks in air, so you don't know which way is up, which way is down, and that could be very dangerous for your health as an athlete, as someone like a gymnast like Simone Biles, and that is one of the reasons why all this is happening. And there's been some video surfacing, and now 2 events are left, which is the beam and the floor, which were always her go-to events, even though she's a great and she's gold medal worthy in all the events. Right now, it's unsure about these 2, but she did pull out of the first 2 I mentioned.
She's a brilliant athlete that owes us nothing. That's all I'm going to say on this. Like, honestly, Kevin, there's something going on for sure. And USA Gymnastics has some really ugly stuff there. And I can't help but think that maybe that's part of this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google it for a second, or just go to Netflix.
Yeah.
You can find it.
Talk about skeletons in the closet. The closet is the size of a gymnasium.
Yeah, and look, I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I love the Olympics, but the one thing that I've always kind of felt really creepy about my entire life is about how USA women's gymnastics has been handled by everyone. It's always been, bluntly, dudes, it's always been a little creepy what they've done with that. And that's all I'm going to say. We're going to leave that alone. But am I wrong? Has NBC and everyone associated with the coach and all that sort of stuff, it's always been a little creepy. And I don't know if that's what's happening here, but yeah, like, she owes us nothing. She's a brilliant athlete that did incredible things in Rio and still could probably do incredible things. And if she doesn't ever do anything again in the public sphere, so be it. She's already won. She's already done things that have moved this sport forward, and we should just celebrate that and forget about what's happening now and hope that she's healthy and can have a great life moving forward.
Exactly. And we'll pay attention to the athletes that are competing and give them the same respect as we would if Simone Biles were competing, because that's what the other athletes also deserve. So that will be a great competition, and I'm looking forward to the apparatus competition next week. No news, by the way, on Ellie Black right now, still recovering. She has been seen attending different gymnastics events, and she has been wearing what's called a soft cast. So it's like a cast, but it's an air cast that you can control, and it helps with healing and recovery, and we wish the best to Ellie Black. On that note, let's move to our wood medal for today, Duane, and the wood medal is Blessing Okabare from Nigeria. She has been sanctioned and disqualified from the Olympic Games. She has been found with traces of human growth hormone in her system. It's a second case in these games. There's an athlete just last night, earlier today, in Tokyo time, in the end of day 7 before day 8, that they also tested positive. There's Alex Wilson. There's a few cases of doping. And I'm always happy to see a few cases. Why? Not because I'm happy to see people cheating. It's because if you don't catch anyone, it doesn't mean that no one's cheating. It means they're all cheating in a way that you can't catch them. At least we're catching them. Also, when you're caught using human growth hormone, that's like, if we would talk to the guys who make us a movie or others, like, it's a stupid way to dope because it doesn't stay in your system for longer than 12 hours or so. And you keep the benefit for over 24 to 36. So if you can do basic math, you can do it in a way to not get caught. So it's not only a way to get caught, it's a stupid way to get caught, if you understand what I mean.
No, 100%. And look, if you are one of the 12 people that are listening to this podcast, and 12 is an exaggeration, it's probably no one, but maybe one person that hasn't watched Icarus, stop. Honestly, I would never tell anyone to stop listening to my podcast, but I'm going to tell you to stop listening to my podcast right now. Go to Netflix, fire that up, watch it, because you need to watch it. You need to understand what's happening here. Look, I'm, as you, happy that they caught someone. The fact that it's a Nigerian and that's not a first world country makes me worried about who is getting away with stuff, because the blunt, cynical reality of stuff is there are people cheating out there all the time, and we all want clean sport to exist. We all want people to not break world records that last 33 bloody years and still aren't touched by more than 0.2 of a second. Wait, what? We want that.
You're talking about a certain world record that happened in 1988 for some reason?
Yeah, you know. If you want to celebrate that record, I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes talking about how the greatest sprinter of all time was Ben Johnson. Do we want that?
Duane is referring to the record of Florence Griffith Joyner that happened in 1988, and it's 10.48, if I'm not mistaken. And since then, well, no one has come close, and the Olympic record is still kind of far from it in a sprinting term. It's from today. It happened, and we'll talk about that race later, but it's 10:61. So you're talking about a record that even the best in the world over the last, 3 decades now, almost 4 decades, the closest they got was literally today.
10.6. I thought it was 10.6, but 10.61, whatever. It's around there.
Yeah, well, 10.61, that's today. That's new Olympic record. The fastest ever ran, it was by Flojo. It wasn't at the Olympic, though. The actual record, the fastest world record, which is that one, yes, it was 10.48.
You know, I recall. I was very early in my half-assed track career when that record was broken. Look, everyone was dirty back then. She's dead. She can't sue me. She was dirty. There's no doubt about it. None. That record is dirty. It has not been touched. It is embarrassing that it's still there. If you are a broadcaster out there listening to this, do not celebrate that record. Just ignore it. The world record was broken tonight. That is the fastest that a woman has ever run 100 meters. We'll talk about that more later.
And by the way, when we're looking at all the other records, they have been broken or nullified since then, especially the record from Eastern countries, East Germany and West Germany back then, and a lot of Eastern European countries had special nutrition tactics back in the late 80s that since then it's been called doping. So that's a big difference.
But vitamins, Hashtag vitamins.
Hashtag vitamins. All right. Let's move from one to the other. Let's celebrate a Canadian performance of the day. We could have gone multiple ways, and we do celebrate performances like Kylie Moss winning her second silver medal in these games. She's got silver in the 100 and the 200 meter breaststroke. So congratulations to Kylie Moss. She has been doing amazing in these games. But our poutine medal for the day goes to weightlifter B.R. Santivy in the men's 96 kilogram class. And he was chasing gold in this competition. The gold was going to be always tough. The Qatar guy was really on form. And there's been other great lifters like the Georgian guy and the Venezuelan athlete. But Canadian guy finished fourth with a clean and jerk of 236, 177 for the snatch. A pretty good performance for this Canadian that almost got gold, but he did win our hearts.
Absolutely. It was an amazing competition. Kevin and I both watched this for the last hour while we were watching track as well, and it was delightful to watch. Look, I want to like weightlifting. Go back to my previous conversation a minute ago of why I hesitate to do so, because it's wonderful to watch. It's exciting. It's like powerful. It's
raw. It's very raw. And it's funny you say this. Look at the athletes that were performing in the men's 96 kilogram. Weight per weight. It's funny how their body shape looks way different than it used to be.
These guys look like normal dudes.
They look like normal dudes who lift weight all the time, but not necessarily with necks the size of 4 human beings put together.
No, they look great. Like they probably dress up real well. I'm sure they do okay at the clubs, is what I'm saying, right? Like that's what you want. Like look, I'm hardly a world-class weightlifter, but I do lift the occasional 25-pound weight above my head. And it is a brilliant, amazing, powerful thing to lift things and feel strong. So weightlifting is a worthwhile thing that we should want to be in. So hopefully they can figure it out. We referenced our interview with the USA weightlifting CEO or president. I forget what his title was, but we referenced it a couple days ago.
CEO, yeah.
Yeah, go listen to that. It's a good sport and it needs to have it. But anyway, this competition was amazing. And, fourth, if you finish fourth in the Olympics, some people might argue that that's the worst place to finish. I was thinking about this earlier, Kevin. If I finished fourth in the Olympics in my life in a discipline, I'd have that tattooed on my damn head. You were the fourth best person in the world.
In 1992, I was the best. Oh, no offense, not necessarily that it would have been that year for you, but,
Yeah, 92's about right. 92, 90, somewhere around there.
But any year, it'd be like, yeah, I was at the Olympics. Just if I was there as an athlete, you're damn right I would have those 5 rings tattooed somewhere on my body.
I actually, speaking of 96, I knew a buddy that was on the canoeing reserve team. So he was an alternate to go to the Olympics. So he went to Atlanta. They didn't put him in the athletes village because he wasn't actually an Olympian. He got the tattoo on his arm, and he used to go out all the time and flash that damn tattoo around for reasons that we should probably not highlight. But yeah,
for
exactly.
reasons that are not morally, we don't condone the reasons, but everyone has a different way to progenate. So I guess that's the way to explain it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And look, he was an athlete. Like, he was a very strong, athletic man. But to make the Olympics is an incredible accomplishment. To finish fourth in the Olympics, yeah, there's no shame in that. There's no tragedy in that. And you see it when athletes finish fourth. They don't seem to get that upset. When they finish sixth, they don't seem to get that upset because they understand how hard it is to finish there. We focus on the medals a lot, and the medals exist for a reason. And I'm glad they exist because they give us something to focus on and to make this fun. But that's not dismiss how incredibly impressive it is to be the fourth best at your discipline in the world at any point in your life. That's an incredible accomplishment. And this competition, though, beyond that, Kevin, you messaged me earlier and said that this dude was 1976 Montreal again. And you're absolutely right. He looked like he should have been had an OV in his hand and a dart hanging out of his mouth and a Guy Lafleur jersey on. Amazing.
And he looks like he plays in the American Basketball Association in his spare time.
Yeah, in 1978. It's incredible. And the gold medalist. Go back and watch it. If you don't know what we're talking about, just go watch. These guys are amazing.
So imagine Maradona's haircut with a guy that is from Qatar. and who's just very happy. He's smiling, and he's there, and why not? And, it was very fun to watch. And then you got the Venezuela guy who his lift didn't count, but, who struggles, couldn't lift the damn thing. Then it's the ugliest clean and jerk I've ever seen in my entire life. But the guy was able to get it up, and then he reacts like crazy, and his coach are with him, and they're jumping, and the commentators are like, the judge failed you. Realize that you failed. Put your request in. You're not going to be through. Eventually, the jury reviewed his clean and jerk, and they decided there was no lift. But that drama, let's not forget that Georgian wrestler. Well, wrestler, sorry. We're happen to say wrestler. We're saying Georgia. But the Georgia weightlifter, his knee is effed up. He can't even walk. And then he gets there, trying to lift the bar, can't. Goes back. His coach slaps him, slaps the knee. You'll be fine. Do it now, or forever you'll have regrets. Puts more tape on the knee. Gets out. Raises the damn thing. Cleans it. Jerks it. Yes! Then he can lips off. And then he'll be happy with a bronze medal. Quite a amazing competition this was.
You mentioned the Georgian weightlifter that doing that, and normally when some athlete that's not from Moose Jaw does that and eliminates someone who is from Moose Jaw, although I think the dude was from Montreal, but whatever, you know what I'm talking about. I'm normally upset, but how could you be upset with that? The guy pretty much blew his knee out to lift before, and then went up and won a damn bronze medal by lifting. It's incredible.
Because okay, 6 months or a year rehab, what's the biggest difference? I'm going to be at rehab anyways. Might as well make it a bronze rehab. Here we go. Let's rip that ligament right off.
I'm not gonna lie. If someone told me you're gonna do this and you're gonna blow your knee out and you're gonna be in rehab for 7 months, but you're gonna win an Olympic medal. If this mysterious person gave me that option, I'm going out and ripping my knee. Come on, it was awesome.
So that's what he did. All right, let's have a short break. When we come back, we'll give you our bronze. Our bronze, silver, and gold medal of the 8. And we're back on the Five Rings Podcast. Thank you for listening to our Olympic Daily Show. You can subscribe to our show everywhere you get your favorite podcasts. Thank you to subscribing to our YouTube page. Back with a video show tomorrow, youtube.com/sports podcasting network. Duane, it's time to talk about bronze, silver, and gold trinkets that we put around our necks. Or at least that athletes want to put around their neck. Let's start with our bronze. New Zealand rugby. Disappointment in Rio. Did not catch that gold medal on the women's side. Neither did the men's side, to be quite fair. Countries like Fiji and France have been a torn on their side. And they were facing France in the final of this competition. And New Zealand, the All Blacks got the job done and got their gold medal in their national sport of rugby.
Exactly. I'm thinking of 2002, Kevin. I don't know where you were in February 2002 in a certain hockey game that took place in Salt Lake City. Look,
I was in college, drunk in the college amphitheater, watching that game while I had a philosophy class that nobody went to.
That's philosophical, really, to watch that game. I think I've told my story of how I absorbed that game before, because it was terrible and horrible and funny all in the same way. Someone made me drive them to the airport, so I didn't actually see it live anyway. But the point I'm making is that there are certain sports in certain places that you kind of have to be dead to not want them to win the gold medal. And I think that if you weren't dead or American in 1992, you would have been cheering for Canada to win that gold medal. And if you weren't dead or French, today you were cheering for New Zealand to win that because rugby matters to them so much. They are a small country that is dominant in that sport. The All Blacks are an institution. People, you just say that term, All Blacks, you know what they are, right? And it didn't work out for them, and it would have not worked out for them in a way that would have really hurt them a lot because they lost to the Aussies last time, and that really would have killed them. So for them to get it today, I think it was brilliant, and we should just celebrate the fact that they have been so good for so long in the sport, and they showed it today, and good for them.
Yeah. France finished second with the silver, and the bronze goes to Fiji on the women's side. A great haul of medal for Fiji in the Rugby 7 competition. They won the men's version, a finish third in the women's competition, and I've watched my fair share of rugby on both sides, and I have to say, the Fiji players have haunted my nightmares since I've watched both teams play.
Yeah, and if you're Canadian, you have the bronze and silver medalists both in your group, and that might make you feel a little bit better by the results that didn't go their way. Look, I texted you and said that it's kind of refreshing to have like an overhyped medal contender bomb out. I feel a little guilty about saying that, but at the same time, obviously there were some issues there. They weren't all that competitive.
Yeah, the pandemic really hit them hard. It's one of the sports that really was affected. Women's sports were affected unfairly, more than men's sport, and rugby especially, because of the close contact of the players have been affected over the last year and a half also a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, I will still hold on to that bronze medal at the women's rugby 7 team. I'm going to be Canadian for a second here. That they got in Rio, and they should be proud of that. And look, they have to have a sit down and figure out where they're going to go from here for sure, because they didn't do well in this tournament, but that doesn't take anything away from what they did in the past.
New Zealand our bronze medal with the Rugby 7 women. Moving on to our silver that goes to a few events altogether. It's a new category of event that has been pushed through this year by the IOC to promote gender. I don't want to say to promote gender equality because it should have been equal. It should have been about that, but they're putting step towards that direction now, at least. And one of the results is mixed events, more mixed events in areas that we haven't seen before. Mainly relays in 3 different sports: swimming, triathlon, and athletics. The 4x1 relay was fascinating to watch on the track. Same for the swimming and the triathlon. I love to see the tactics that went in the triathlon. Some tactics were really terrible, and turned out that the swim makes a big difference in the triathlon when you're looking at losing or gaining time in a relay event. Swimming, it was fascinating to see teams get the job done. Team GB, to be quite fair, they've put a lot of emphasis on that relay team, and they got themselves a good medal. And also, Poland got the job done on the relay on the track, and the U.S. finished third on that one. That was fascinating competitions across the board in the mixed events.
Yeah, we covered the Commonwealth Games in 2017 from Edinburgh, and the British triathlon really put a lot of focus on that, and a lot of the athletes that were successful then were successful today, and good for them for that. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because it's so bloody obvious that they should do this. Why have they never done this before, Kevin? Help me understand.
Because they don't want to see athletes being exposed, but that's the beauty of the sport. Like, example, Nigeria, they decided to go counterintuitive and put a woman against the men and a men against the women. So when it came time for the men to run against the women, the men took a big lead. It's like, oh, can they hold that lead when it's the second leg? And the fourth leg came in, and they thought they had the best athlete, the Nigerian runner, the woman. She got there, and all the men surpassed her, and they were first heading into that fourth leg, and they finished 8th. It was beautiful to see tactics go right or tactics go wrong, and who cares if we see that one gender races faster than the other gender? We're seeing both gender cooperate together. That was the beauty in there.
You can just look at the times and understand what's going to happen. Like, there's a strategy to this, and there's a reason that they have a woman's category, right? Like, there's a genetic difference. That's not be daft here, but no, I love the fact that there's a strategy. In the pool, I thought it was even more interesting because there's different strokes going on there, and you have to figure out where you're going to put player. It was just fascinating altogether, and I think that it is great to have this. There are other sports out there, however, that I think can really benefit from this idea that won't have that same sort of physicality deficiency that happens. We've already seen it on the winter side, like mixed curling.
Yeah.
Was amazing, right? Like
weightlifting, team weightlifting. Why not have a team composed of a couple of weights in the men, couple of weights in the women? You put 4 and 4 together, you got yourself a 4-person team in weightlifting, and the team with the most amount of weight lifted wins gold. It's not that hard.
No, exactly, because you have to figure out what you're going to do. I'll go one step further. Why not have a team sport? Why don't we have co-ed soccer or football?
Volleyball is very popular in the co-ed circles. Isn't there even co-ed competitions at the high level in volleyball?
Yeah, I'm sure there are. Yeah, it's, you have to figure that out. And look, elite female athletes understand that there is a physicality difference between them and men. That's why they don't get into all those comparisons that a lot of us do, because they understand there's a difference, right? But they also understand that that difference isn't as great as people think it is. And it's certainly not as great to provide an opportunity for injury to happen. So yeah, do more of this. This is the way to do it. Don't add more events if you want to have gender equality. Do more of this. And I think it's been fun. I think the strategy has been interesting, and I wanted to highlight it. That's why it's just.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And the 3x3 competition, why can't that be mixed? Right?
No.
That would be fascinating. Don't tell. There's some WNBA players out there that can play with men, no problem, and vice versa. And then it becomes a strategy too. That's exactly. Let's push for equality there. But now, which brings us to our last topic of today, a Jamaican podium, a sweep of that podium, top of the podium, Elaine Thompson-Herah with a 10.61 in the 100-meter sprint on the women's side. Fraser Price second with a 10.74, and Jackson third. All Jamaican, all great time. And Jackson, that was a personal best for her, 10.76. 10.61 is a new Olympic record. The 100-meter on the women's side has never been run as fast as it has been today. Elaine Thompson-Herah, she is the defending champion in Rio. And now back-to-back gold for Thompson-Herah.
What are you going to say? Like, what can I say to add to what everyone saw? That was the greatest track and field run on the women's side, for sure, that has ever happened. And Jamaica, a small country, there 3 million people there, to sweep a podium in the biggest race in the track and field meet is incredible. They love track. They desire to be the fastest people in the world, and they proved it. It was incredible to watch, and I'm privileged to have watched it. And I said this earlier, and I'm not going to dwell on this too much right now, but that's the real world record that happened. That's as fast as you're ever going to see a woman run, and I'm just happy to have seen it. And you can't give any other results tonight the gold medal, because the 100-meter on both genders is the event of the Olympics. And it was an incredible thing to watch. And I'm so happy that I saw it.
Yeah. We talked about timing here. Fraser Price was coming in here. She's the winner of the gold medal in London in 2012. She had a child a few years ago, and it was not as successful as she wanted for Rio. She was going for the back-to-back gold. She did not get it. But then she comes in here this year, back not only to the level she was when she won gold, she came back to her best level ever. She did a 10.63 earlier this year for, it's not her personal best, but it's damn close. And to do this later in her career, in the twilight of her career, is impressive. And Jackson with 10.76, this is the fastest podium ever on the women's 100-meter side. And the sprint side, this is the fastest race that any three women have done in competition ever.
No, 100%. And yeah, look, it was pretty obvious watching that entire thing play out that the Jamaicans were going to sweep us. And the rest of the world has a lot to figure out because what they're doing down there it's working. And good for them. They love this. And I'm sure that if you're in Kingston tonight, you're having a good night and you're looking forward to tomorrow. We'll see what happens tomorrow. There was a little bit more of a stress coming on the men's side. We'll probably talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, but the stress did not came from... We could talk about what happened before because there's still the semis and the final. Those will take place on Sunday early morning, and we'll have a breakdown of that big show tomorrow. We'll back on video tomorrow, Sunday. Also, Duane, and let's take a look at, of course, an amazing time this morning by Andre DeGrasse. 9:91, fastest of the entire heats in the men's 100 meter. The kid is back and to the level he was. Even better, this was his personal best today, which not bad at all.
Yeah, 9:91. If you're Canadian, that time has some impact on you. But look, yeah, Donovan Bailey, the 96 gold medalist. Yeah, he actually suggested that he was playing possum in the Diamond League. Like,
I guess he was.
Slow.
What does Donovan Bailey know that we don't? Because definitely that is one of them. Because it was quite clear the way he ran that 100 meter. Definitely eye opening if you're anybody who's a sprinter. Because like, oh wait, this guy just did a 990.
Yeah,
it was almost a 990. That's it. It was rounded up to 991. Let's not forget.
And I think his best event's at 200. Look, I'm pretty excited to watch this. I would love to see another Canadian win the 100 meter because it is the biggest event of the world of the Olympics every year. But yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of competition there. It was a fast heat. Like if you remember watching the heats back, like in '88, say, like the best guys were like jogging down the line. Like they all had to run tonight.
And some favorites didn't even make it through. Bromell from the U.S. barely made it through. He made it through as one of the best losers, as we call. One of the best time outside the top three. Nigerian, one of the favorite to in the heat of Andre DeGrasse. After one false start that was nobody's fault, and then one that was his fault, he got disqualified. One of the favorites in this entire thing. It's going to be a lot harder than people think to get to the final and to actually race in the final. And so far, the winner of round one, because it's also a mental battle, right? The sprint is not only a competition on the track, it's a competition in people's mind, and it's kind of like who's got the biggest legs, if you know what I mean. And Andre DeGrasse just showed today that his legs are quite big.
Big legs, yeah. The 100 meter is the best event. Look, when I ran half-ass track back when I was a kid, I tried to run the 100 meter because I wanted to, but it's just the best. And those people are on a different level, and they observe the world at a different level. And what I loved about Andre DeGrasse tonight was how cocky he was. I know. I'm sorry. I'm Canadian. I should say I'm sorry for that. But the way he was dancing and pointing and that gives me great confidence. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. We've already got one great 100 meter final in the books. Let's hope we get two.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Medal count before we say goodbye. China, 21 gold, top of the medal count. Japan, second with 17. U.S., third with 16. ROC, the name of a country that should not be named with Olympic Committee after, is 11th. Australia, 10th. Great Britain is 6th with 8. And our dear Canada is 12 with 3 gold medals, 4 silver, and 5 bronze. One more medal appeared during day 8, and that was Kylie Moss's silver in the pool. Until next time, for Duane Rollins, I'm Kev Laramee. We hope you're enjoying your Olympics, our coverage of the Olympics, and as always, until tomorrow, have a good Olympiad.